This is our first live stream. We will be recording and putting it on our podcast platform on all the Apple and Spotify and all the things we normally do, but we're going to try to live stream today. So we're live streaming to Tavis's Facebook page because my Facebook page did not want to cooperate, but Tavis has a bigger following anyway. So I will acquiesce to your adoring fans today. Maybe next time we can do both. So maybe we'll get a little feedback.
I think there's some overlap. So
yeah, there's overlap. Okay. So you can be checking to see if anyone comments or anything. I think there's a way that maybe at some point we can see that here, but we will just see how it goes this morning and see how the flow goes. But we're going to do our normal podcast and kind of talk about our normal things and share the screen and see if people enjoy it on Facebook. So New Horizons, episode 97. I'm Ashton Hines, one half of the real estate heavyweights. I've flipped 4 houses. I've been in the real estate business over 4 years. I've done, I don't know, almost 30 transactions. I think the last I counted. I help people buy and sell. I've done stuff for myself. I've done stuff for others, mostly in the Plano, Carrollton, Dallas area, but I've done Keller and Bedford and Euless, and I might drive to Mansfield this morning. I drove to DeSoto yesterday. So kind of all over the place. My partner here, Tavis Westbrook, he's been in the game 20 years. He's done over 200 flips. He's got a commercial building. He's got multiple midterm rentals. He's got some long-term rentals. He knows a lot about the real estate game. And we come to you once a week, sometimes on Fridays. If we're live today, it's Thursday, and I normally edit it and put it out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, whenever I have time. But we'll have to maybe get into a better routine if we're going to do live. But
yeah.
Anyway, what's going on, Tavis? How are you today?
Not much. I was just going to add to it that we've had this podcast around now. We are, episode 97 today?
97. So, I think it's almost a year and a half. I think we started in September of 23, October 23. I would have to go back and look. But
so if you guys are just now tuning in, feel free to go back and watch some of our beginning episodes and interviews. And,
yes,
by all means, you don't have to go in order. You want to pop around, see what you like, let us know, give us your feedback. So it's always good to hear from you guys. We are also, if you guys would like to be a guest on the show, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are needing some new guests here. It's been a little while since we've done some interviews.
Yep.
And love to have you on the show. We can actually do it virtually from your own office. And it's pretty cool technology.
I was thinking, we're coming up on episode 100. I would actually like to, we had one interview that never came to air. Well, we had a couple of them. One of them fell through midstream. I still want to get him on and go back. But I actually would love to interview a couple of people that we've had on before. Brett Lane, he had a great interview and he's since kind of started his own thing. George Roddy was our very first interview. We were just getting our legs under us. I would love to interview him again and just kind of have another chance to ask him more questions and see what he's been up to over the last year, because I know he's still super active and he had great stories. If you haven't heard the George Roddy story, that was our very first interview. It's worth a listen. But we've had a lot of very legitimate people on to interview, great nuggets, very accomplished investors and real estate professionals. And then also I've had some of my family, my sister and my brother-in-law down in Austin. They're killing it. They do flips. They've got, I think, 2 flips going right now. Dustin has maybe 9 listings right now. He's just really doing well in the real estate world down there. Macon does design, and they just do a great job with their property. So those interviews are back. Yeah. We also did Flipping University, which we really went in depth on how to flip a house and ask a lot of questions.
And we've had friends from other industries as well.
Yep.
Just to get different insight, like Walter Barraza,
and Scotty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So had different people in, and it's been good. So we try to bring a mix of different things to you guys. And thanks for joining. I was in the store
the other day and I saw a Jarritos box, and I took a picture of it and I sent it to Wally. I said, "Did you guys do the art on this?" And he's like, "Yeah, we do all of them." It was so cool. I just really liked it. I was like, "Man, you guys do a great job." And they do Academy, a lot of stuff with Academy now, and I sent him a shirt from Academy one time. I was like, man, did you do this? So it's just kind of nice to see his work out in the world every once
Yeah.
in a while. And
Yeah.
very, very talented guy, Walter Barrazza. So go back and check out that interview. So anyway, we come to you once a week. We have our
Your
staples.
introduction's worth listening to, if anything.
The introduction is worth listening to. Our staples every week are we talk about the market, we talk about some news, and then we do some deep dives either on how to flip or what's going on in our businesses. We look a lot about design, different houses in the Dallas area. Last week, we looked at an Austin house that was owned by the Torchy's Tacos owner, which was just an extraordinary house. So, but we always talk about the market. We talk about news, and then we bring a little bit of spice of something else. So,
Awesome.
what's going on with your week? I know you told me yesterday you were about to close on the townhome that we went and walked and made a bid on down in Dallas. Get to do a little bit more demo down there. So, that's going to be a super cool project. Do you got any others in the works? Are you walking anything, making bids on anything?
We are, you know what? I've got a few bids out there, but nothing that's been sticking lately.
Yeah.
We had a couple wholesale deals that we were working on, and that didn't seem to, those haven't come into a contract yet, but they might. So, a few of those things going on, but
You drove down
other
to
than
Red
that,
Oak the other day. Was that a wholesale deal? 'Cause
it
I
was,
know you're not trying to flip something in Red Oak because that would be quite the drive.
yeah, and that's what we've got to look at when it's outside of like our comfort zone, if you will, or what we're able to service. With everything else going on, it's just too far for the subs and the trades and back and forth. So something like that, we'd look at wholesaling. So
Yeah.
that was the interest of doing that, and we closed Primrose Monday, so that was a quick turnaround.
Yeah.
100 days total project time.
Really?
So acquisition to sale. Yeah.
And that was over the holidays, right?
It was over the holidays.
Yeah.
You know what? Where we made up time was, I guess we were right on track. Our average is about 112 to 115 days total project time. But we, ended up getting a great contract. We ended up with four offers on that property, roughly about 5-6 days. So I went live on market, I think maybe Tuesday afternoon. And so then it rolled into the weekend. And then the weekends when, crazy activity really happened, right? So we ended up making a decision Monday morning on 4 offers. And the offer that won it was a couple that had been in contract before on another property. It blew up, but all the underwriting was already done. So they were able to close in 2 weeks. So
Nice.
that was a part of the attraction and helped me on the timeline as well.
Nice. I just pulled up your profile on Facebook, and we are on there. It's a slight delay, so I can't stare at it because we're talking and on delay. But it might be, what might be nice is if you can pull it up on your computer, and then that way you don't have to look at your phone to like see comments and stuff.
Yeah,
pull it up and like keep it in a little window.
I can
maybe
that
beside
might be more complicated to do right now.
Yeah,
so.
We can work on that. But I was able to pull it up. I just can't see any comments, but it is working. That's pretty cool.
I'll just try to move my phone.
Yeah. So I actually walked a house yesterday over in Carrollton. It was really cool because I was looking at, I'm on all these Facebook groups, all these investor groups, and I just happened to be scrolling through one and I recognized the street names. Like, okay, that's pretty close. I'll just run by there. And it said 12 to 1. I'm like, yeah, it's right now. I'll just go. And the cool part about it is that you just realize how many people are in this world that you have no idea about. This guy's name's Mark. And to hear about all the projects he has going and how much he's wholesaled recently and how many properties come into his world. And he doesn't do mailers either. He does basically relationship stuff. But he says when he gets a property to disposition, he puts on like 40 different Facebook groups. He uses, what is that software? It's a pretty big software. It's very expensive. Oh gosh. Investor Lift. He puts it on Investor Lift. He has an email list. So he puts it out to a ton of people. So while I was walking there was one other group that came through, but man, this house was great neighborhood, great street. But it's one of those things. I remember this from Home Health. You would go into a house and it would just take you by surprise because it was in such bad condition from what you expected to walk in. Like if you go into a dumpy neighborhood somewhere and you're like, I kind of get it. Maybe this isn't the best neighborhood, but this is like a nice neighborhood, nice house. But you walk in and you're like, it's amazing that people live like this.
Yeah.
And there was sheetrock falling off of the ceiling because they had never done a repair. There was the soffits were sagging. There was weeds and vines growing up the back. There was,
and you said this was what, a 90s build?
90.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, there was cabinet doors that were just ripped off the front of the thing. And you could just tell that rats or something had been living up in there because it was just disgusting. The floors it was like that floor where you have carpet and then there's like a 3 or 4 inch bar of just dirt and dust right underneath the dresser because their feet actually don't rub it out of the way. It just accumulates there. I'm not even kidding. Some of the vents look like black soot was coming out of it. And
yeah,
it was
mold.
Crazy. Just
you're doing a very
like
good job, and your descriptive story here. You're painting a very good picture.
Yes. Well, I'm hoping that Mark is listening. I'm like, this is why the bid's going to be fairly low on that thing. He was actually very reasonable on what they're asking for it. He's just done it enough to where I got the sense he's just kind of no nonsense. Like, well, I kind of know what I have and I know what it's worth and let's get rid of it. And let's make our money. Let's move on. So I need to run the full comps on that, but it would be quite the project. I would nominate Anthony and Landon to go get some demo experience at that place. I don't know if I'm up for the horrors that might be behind some of those doors, but anyway, but it was fun going over there and walking. I took a video and we'll check that out. So anyway, all right, let's get into a market update and let me figure out how to, there we go. With all of our new screens here. I will share entire screen.
Hey.
This is where technology is great, but it just takes a second to get there. All right, so let's look at our market here. Every week on our MLS, we look at Denton, Collin, and Dallas County, not because we hate Tarrant or Rockwall, but our screen only allows 3 counties to be pulled up at a time. But we do most of our business in Denton, Collin, and Dallas counties, and so that's the one we look at. We also look at a 10-year look back time frame, so we're able to look at a chart that goes all the way back. It says 10 years, but it goes back to 2018. So this is misleading. It says 10 years, and I'm looking back over here. It says 2018. Whatever. Farther than a month and 3 years and all the other options, but so. We look at a lot of different statistics here. Of course, the average sales price. They fixed the glitch because last week there was a home in Collin County that someone had entered wrong, and they probably entered it at like $40 million or something, and it was throwing the whole MLS off. All the numbers, the average sales price of the whole MLS, 40,000 properties, was skewed by this one property in Collin County. But they fixed it, and so yes, the average on the entire MLS right now is 371,000. Collin County 480, Denton County 444, Dallas 370. For those of you who don't know, our MLS is huge, or at least you can see a lot of properties in a lot of different areas, all the way over to Shreveport, all the way over to Abilene, and then every once in a while something will just pop up randomly in the Panhandle or down in Waco. And I'm assuming those people just have dual access to MLSs, and they're just trying to advertise it as much as possible. But in general, of course, the DFW area and a huge radius around that, all the way over to Abilene, Sweetwater, and then Shreveport. So tons of properties. Days on market right now, we are an average of 72 for the entire MLS. Denton County 65 days, Collin County 67, Dallas 57. Definitely has gone way up. May of 2024 was our most recent bottom out, and it was 47 days, and we're at 72, and it is not really showing many signs of slowing down. It's aiming straight up. So our months of supply is at 4.3. We have 4.3 months of supply. People will say that a 6-month supply is a healthy, balanced market. So this still tells us that we are in a seller's market. However, every week we talk about, it does seem like on a lot of houses, especially after you get through that initial listing frenzy of, let's say, 14, 21 days and things start to settle down, it does seem like we are in a buyer's market because people are having to make some concessions. It's at least balanced once you kind of get through that initial little frenzy of things that are priced extremely well or a really good reno, like a Tavis Westbrook remodel over in Carrollton that sold in a handful of days with multiple offers. But in general, we are trending up on our months of supply. Homes for sale. We typically have around 40,000 homes for sale and on the entire MLS. These are our kind of single family, condo, townhome, non-commercial properties. The 10-year high that we've looked at, or I say 10-year, oh yeah, this goes back to 15, so this is an accurate chart. 44,000 was in July of 2019. That was really the high. This actually popped up this morning, 45,000 in October of 24. Somehow these numbers sort of change from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
So this actually says that we had a 10-year high of inventory on our MLS in October of 2024. Either way, however you look at it, we were very much near a 10-year high. We talked about that multiple times.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of inventory. Things are taking longer to sell. And so that would hint that we are edging towards a buyer's market where people are getting deals on their homes, and pricing could be coming down. Let's look at what is our price percentage of original price. This is how much discounts are being taken. 95%. We're at 96% of original asking. This kind of hints at how well people are pricing the market in general. When this percentage is really close to 100, they're getting close to what they're asking for. They're just being accurate on what they're pricing at. When it's really off, it's like a 93, 94, they're having to take a pretty good discount. Their original offer price is just off from what the market wants. And this is trending up. So people are looking like they're getting better at pricing in this current market of roughly 7% interest rates. And, but yeah, we kind of float around the 95, 96%. There was a time over in 2022 where we were over asking, and these were a very hot time here. So yeah, we look at that.
Ashton, go to the new listings this week and price reductions if you can.
Yeah,
look at those factors.
Let me find my matrix
because I think those are always interesting for our audience to listen to, because that's something that people can relate to and kind of just see what's going on, right? This particular screen you're looking at is our home screen on our MLS. This is the last 7 days. So 3,934 new listings in our total MLS over the last 7 days. You got a few bounce back on market. You've got 4,487 price decreases. So you guys listen to your real estate professionals, price them correctly the first time. This seems to be a trend. I mean, we've been talking about this since going back to September. I mean, this price decrease weekly is outweighing the new listings going on the market. It's especially outweighing the pendings and the closed, right? So you've got pending, which means it's gone after active option, and pendings 2,465, active option 1,715. So that means it just went under contract here recently. So all those look pretty good. Cancels are not too crazy. Expired's not too crazy. So it looks like, people are kind of hanging in there. They're like, hey, we still really need to sell our home. And, they're doing a price decrease versus letting the listing expire or cancel it. Right.
Yeah. So this is a little over 10%. There's been times when we've started looking at this is under 10% of the overall market. Actually, this is fairly significantly over the 10% mark. Probably, I don't know, maybe not as significant. Let's say
right.
But it's been under before, and this is also looks at, again, hinting at a buyer's market. Things are coming down. You can get discounts. So, all right, let's go to a little bit of news, and let's click over to our friends at the Dallas Morning News.
Our music won't play because we're live, but It will play on the recording, I
That's right. I have really fun music. If that would be the next level. There is a little control panel that I can have that I could hit buttons that
think. There you go.
will, if we get a sponsor, maybe we get one sponsor, I could get the control panel that would allow me to actually put music into our live stream.
Yeah, to do it like a live radio show here.
Yeah, I would love that. So, all right, our friends at Dallas Morning News. First story here. The Dallas City Council approves Pepper Square rezoning despite neighborhood outcry. Do you know what Pepper Square is?
I do not.
So it's far north Dallas. It says it's Beltline and Preston. So you know where that is.
Okay.
Beltline and Preston. So Henry S. Miller, the development firm, huge development firm, evidently since 2022, has been trying to rezone this corner of North Dallas. And I thought this picture was funny because last week, Tavis just took aim at the elderly community and said the only people who show up to these meetings to complain are the older folks. And so then the next week and you get this from personal experience because you showed up to some Plano meetings that were about Airbnb, and you're like, you know what, kind of a common theme here. So the this meeting for the city of Dallas was attended by some older folks, and they are not happy. They do not want this development to happen. However, the committee decided to move forward with it, and there was some support. They said there was 45 people who showed up to kind of talk, and 35 were against and 10 were for.
So here's there's other reason not to have apartments, right? But people's mindset of what apartments are typically, and this is misleading, but typically when people think of apartments, they think of low income housing, right? In today's market of where we're at, the cost to build and develop apartments is going to create a luxury apartment complex.
Oh, yeah.
Therefore, the luxury apartment complex, most likely the average rents that are being charged for these apartments are going to be more than most of what the people in that audience is paying for their mortgage or has paid for their mortgage in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, that's where I get frustrated with some of those things, right? Somebody says something, they get on a tangent, they get upset, and it's misleading without knowing or having all of the true data. And somebody's making a judgment and they're very passionate about it without knowing what it can actually do or benefit to the community. When you put in, 1,000 units doing $2,500 a month, that's,
some serious money.
It's not a bad thing.
Well, and the folks that can afford to live in an apartment complex and pay $2,000 to $3,000 a month for an apartment, and then there's going to have stores and office buildings there. I think it's can be very good. And what's funny is that they said the Kimley Horn traffic analysis conducted on the developer's behalf, so it's painting a picture that's favorable to them, found the proposed mixed-use development would generate approximately 50% fewer trips than the existing shopping center were it fully leased. So they're just saying, look, we're not adding to the congestion. I think that's part of the argument is that we just don't need all these people right here. There's going to be way more cars and way more traffic and all these problems. And they're saying, actually, if this thing was kicking like it should be, and once we get in here, we'll actually be bringing in 50% less.
You know
traffic,
what? Now I'm kind of connecting to what this is. And if you've ever been over this is going to be the southwest corner.
Yeah. Trader Joe's and Hobby Lobby, they said, was right there.
Yeah. I'm not real sure on that, but I know like there's a southwest corner. There's also a southeast corner of Beltline and Preston. Both of them are kind of, they're definitely like 70s developments that have kind of lost its luster over time. They don't have a lot of positive tenants in there anymore. Right. The actual shopping center is pretty dated and run down. So, the opportunity of doing this is, seems to be a better demand.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it's probably going to happen. It seems like it's moving that way. And look, I do empathize. If you were a longtime resident and you're just used to your life and you're used to things, But that being said, it's in my opinion, it is somewhat short sighted because, you know, even if you're 70 years old, you probably moved to Addison or Plano back in the early 80s. And if you
Mm-hmm.
don't think that those farmers at the time were not going with pitchforks to their local council meeting saying, heck no, we can't have another, Fox and Jacobs neighborhood coming in here. Are you kidding me? And, the polo grounds were bulldozed in Willow Bend for a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
And like it just happens. And everyone who's lived here over the last 30 years has benefited from a development that took over something that was there before. And so I get that you don't want to deal with the construction, and maybe you're worried about the type of people that are going to be coming in, but it is definitely short-sighted. And this is the reason why we have zoning laws and we have HOAs and we have all sorts of things that kind of keep things in line. So people, still have to play by the rules. So anyway,
Yep.
all right. This I'm not going to dwell on this too much, but we've talked several weeks about how Neiman Marcus is trying to leave downtown, and this will not leave the news. Dallas dangles a quote financially beneficial opportunity to keep Neiman Marcus downtown.
Oh
Basically,
gosh.
what's happened is that their main store is closing. It was this real estate problem. Then Neiman Marcus says, "Oh yeah, we're pulling out no matter what," and the city of Dallas just continues to kind of just throw everything they can to keep them down there. And instead of talking about the details this time, the theory of this is just frustrating to me from I don't live in Dallas, so I don't pay taxes in Dallas, but if I were a Dallas taxpayer, it would be frustrating for me to know that they're willing to throw money at something that the market is saying isn't viable. I mean, if Neiman Marcus found it financially beneficial to be downtown, they would figure out a way to be downtown. And they would have jumped at the first opportunity that you even hinted that you want to help them out. But they keep saying, no, we're done. No, we're done. And, and I guess you could make the argument that Dallas and Irving and all these cities throw money at the Rangers and all these, Six Flags and, the Universal up in Frisco and PGA up in Frisco. They give them tax benefits to try to be around. But I would think that overall it's because they know it's going to grow the economy and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to grow traffic. And I just don't know if that's the case down here. It's almost like Dallas wants it because it's just always been there and we just can't see this store leave our history.
Yeah, there's definitely more behind the scenes with it, right? And to uh, bring this up to people who are just now hearing this, this was on a land lease, on a 100-year land lease. So that's what happened is basically on a land lease, this structure was built 100 years ago. The lease is up now, and based on the renewal, they've looked at all the financial figures, and basically Neiman Marcus says, "No, sorry, we're not going to renew. We're going to relocate north." And I think it was up at Parks Mall is where their main stores are now, right? So
Yeah.
um, they were going to basically refocus their attention up there and vacate, this building down there. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we know that office and retail and stuff like that as a whole has struggled since COVID. And I don't know if that's part of it or, kind of where it lands. But I mean, obviously having a big building like Neiman Marcus downtown that's vacant, excuse me, is not
Probably
very
not great.
attractive. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that it's not great. And they're trying to do what they can. I just think when you start getting in the way of, I mean, basically what it is capitalism. It just wasn't worth it for them to be there. If they were making that much money, this land lease person pretty much said, we'll give you the land, we'll figure it out. And they're like, no, we're good. And they just kept moving on. This just doesn't seem like one of those times where they're making the best decision for what's financial, but who am I think that part of it, they're just holding on to this history. They don't want Neiman Marcus that started here to leave the downtown, their main store, to go somewhere else and have one more thing leave downtown. And I'm sure the fact that the Mavericks are kind of hinting that they may not be around, and people in city council are, maybe they're panicking a little bit. We've read stories about how the K. Bailey Hutchinson development is not going super smoothly. One of the developers down there has pulled the plug on a huge hotel development, and that's changing. So it's like they want it to be great, but just they need some of these dominoes to fall, and it's some of them are falling the wrong way. So
Yep.
all right, this is interesting to me. This sometimes on the show we'll talk about restaurants, we'll talk about different stores that are closing and shuttering, and so this is real estate adjacent. But this is called the House of Bauman, and evidently it's a menswear store that's opening up a huge new location. So we're talking about Neiman Marcus closing down in downtown Dallas, and here we have the House of Bauman that's opening up a 10,000 square foot footprint in Addison. He's had a much smaller store for a while, but it looks amazing. This curated menswear store in Addison. And I started reading this article and I was sort of taken aback at the number, at how expensive this is, because Neiman Marcus, of course, is crazy expensive. Mm-hmm. And, you and I are not stalwarts of fashion. I don't think anyone would, no one is going to accuse us of blazing any trails, right? So the goal of, quote, my goal in creating this place was to create something the world has never seen. I want them to have an experience that's not out there. It's like a category of one. That's really cool. And then the next paragraph says, the store, where new customers have a $10,000 spending minimum, is benefiting from the growing demand of high-end luxury and high-touch service in the region.
Ew.
$10,000 minimum?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm sure these people are out there.
Yeah.
But to create a whole store, and I think it says that he might own the building. It says originally known as Edward Bauman Clothier, it rebranded the House of Bauman with the move into the new roughly $11 million building he's developed.
Wow.
And so I don't know if all his money comes from this. Like maybe I have no idea the business here, but this is just a world I have no idea about. To be able to walk into a store knowing, hey, there's a $10,000 spending minimum. Now, maybe once you create an account and you can come back in and pick up a pair of socks,
sure.
And, but you have an account and like they have your measurements and they're creating custom suits for you, and they create custom boots. Like they have a whole Western section and they do boots that are made in Texas, and they have like a motorcycle section that's a little bit, more casual. And I want to see it just for the design, because the design looks really, really neat. It says customers walking into the store have a Casino Royale and British theme. Union Jacks hang on the brick covered walls. It just seems very James Bond-ish from some of the pictures. And then they kind of have these modular sections where they can do some, one-off weekend type stuff of like, hey, we're doing like a biker weekend or a Western themed weekend. And
interesting.
Anyway, they have an elevator that they can bring cars up there and display certain cars as part of the art. So anyway, I don't know that I'll ever, I would love to have, I've always wanted to have like one really nice suit. I think when I wear a suit that fits right, I do feel special. Like I feel good. It feels different to me. And so the idea of being at a place where you could maybe buy a custom suit that looks really, really good. But I don't know what level I would have to be at to be able to walk into a store knowing I had to spend $10,000 just to be there.
I don't know.
So I don't know if that's a goal of mine, but there is a world. When this rang true for me for the first time was in, let's see, I'm just going to go back to this for now. When I very first went to the, what was it? It's like a hunting show down at the K. Bailey Hutchinson. It's the Dallas Safari Club. That's what it was. And I walked around and there's booth after booth after booth that sold these global hunting trips, like $30,000 to go shoot a giraffe or an elephant or a bear or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And there's these, shotguns that cost $12,000 and $30,000. And that was, and I was like, they're here for a reason. They're here because people actually spend money doing this. And that was kind of my introduction of Dallas, of like, there's just more money here than I even halfway know about. The idea that people can drop $30,000 to go shoot something with a $50,000 gun. you
Right.
know, it just different worlds and different things. Different things are important to other people. But all right, so let's get into our last segment. We don't really. Sometimes we have a name for this. Sometimes we call it "What's Your Problem." We could call we'll call this one "What's Your Problem?" Right? So
What's your problem, man?
what's your problem? So I will go back over to screen share here. So I was on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, and um, and I follow a guy that's a local, or he's a Texas economist. I don't honestly know his full name. AKM. We'll call him Adam. I don't even know, but I think he works for maybe Texas A&M real estate. Let's see. He's a best-selling author. I'm not sure what he does for a living, but
Okay.
anyway, he made this post the other day, and he's pretty popular. He's got a lot of people that follow him. And says sellers in the DFW are still living in the pandemic era. $250 per square feet for a 1970s ranch style home in Plano, Texas? Pass. Price cuts incoming. Meanwhile, housing inventory will continue to grow. And so he shows this picture of the $600,000 house. And later in his post, someone says, "What's the address?" And so he tells the address. Well, so I go and I look this up. So let me find this just real quick. You can see all my different searches here. So, all right, I will have to find this. So this is the active one, 28428 Dow Green, right?
Yep.
600,000. It's been 5 days on the market. You've seen this house 100 times. I mean, yep. I don't know where Dow Green is, but this looks like this could be
not a
your
bad neighborhood. It's just south of me.
Yeah, this could be your neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
But
updated.
It's updated. You know, maybe not the updates I would choose, but I would consider this to be a renovated, updated home. They did blow out the kitchen. Holy cow. There's no way that this 1970s house had this much open space in the kitchen.
No, it did not. Did not.
Now, kudos to the designer over here who put the fireplace in the far corner. Get it out of the way, sir. Please stop putting it in the center of the room. So I have to design
Ashton. Ashton does not like the fireplace being in the same location where the TV needs to go.
Yeah, times have changed. Let's get the TV at the center of attention. We don't need to look at a fire.
All new shaker cabinets in there.
Yep.
So I mean, they took the 70s out of it. So
yep.
I mean, yes, it's a 70s neighborhood, but that's what you get versus parts of Dallas are going to be 40s neighborhoods or 50 neighborhoods or 70s or 80s,
I mean,
until they're torn down and rebuilt. Yeah,
this is a decent renovation.
Tasteful. $600,000, $250 a foot for that is not out of line at all.
Yeah. So the interesting part was just how opinionated he was. And what's funny is a lot of these comments underneath were like, "Yeah, that's crazy. And I mean, half these people probably don't even live here. They don't even know where Plano is.
They have no idea.
Oh, that's ridiculous, And then a few people, like one guy chimed in and said, "I'll take the over." Because this writer, this reporter, economist, he guessed this will go for 500 to 515. That was his guess.
500 to 515.
Yeah, and
so he's saying $200 a foot.
Yeah,
is what he's getting at. Yeah.
Right. So and then one guy said, "I'll take the over," and then I said, let me see if this is the one. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the one. So this is the comp. So I said, I pulled this comp here. This is half mile. The other one was 2,400 square feet something. This one's 2,412, single story. Now this one has a pool. Subject property does not have a pool. So keep that in mind. Mm-hmm. But let me zoom in just a little bit.
But they priced the other one right. They priced it at 600. So
yeah. So now this one ended up selling for 600. This one sold for 600, and
on the market for 98 days. So
it was on the market a while.
They missed the mark. If you looked at their price reduction, they priced it too high to start.
They started at 629. They lowered to 619. They sold it for 600. Okay.
Yep.
They sold for 248 a square foot, and So, but I will say this: I prefer their renovation. I think it's a better renovation, and it has a
Mm-hmm.
pool. Okay. So this is where if they sold this one for 600, I think that the subject property, I guessed 560. And I said, buy whoever wins buys Chewy's. We'll see if he takes me up on Chewy's. I think he's from here. I think he's from around here. So
Yeah, maybe 575 on the other one.
maybe 575. Now, no pool. Now, I will say the inside of this house is great. The outside, they went white with black trim. I mean,
Yeah.
Lord of mercy.
It does depend on, if they did plumbing and those other
Yes,
factors too,
true.
the things that we don't know about.
Now, this house, I didn't remember on the other one. I mean, it looks like they did brand new doors, brand new trim, and their styling is cool.
That looks virtually staged.
I, you know, if this is virtually staged, that's a really good job. Look at the shadows on the floor. Is that? I mean, I guess AI can do whatever it wants.
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, normally if it's virtually staged, scroll through and see if it's virtually staged, and most agents will show pictures without the staging.
Yes. Now, so this does have a fireplace in the middle of the room. It should have a 75-inch TV right above this,
but at least an outlet for you.
But I do like this. Whatever they did here on the fireplace mantle is interesting. They did some fluting, maybe with like white oak, but they painted it all the same color. It just created this really neat texture around the fireplace that I think is neat.
Yeah,
I think this is real. I'm just going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out. This is real.
Okay, it might be.
I mean,
cool looking couch. I mean,
Aaron, hey, here's a puffy couch for your midterm rental. I think
it
would look great.
Did I tell you that Aaron went and changed the couches out?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what it ended up looking like, but
it looks good.
So this house is a little bit wide open. I would say just kind of a cleaner, maybe in a way more safe of a flip. It's just super white and bright. Everything's just wide open and clean and white and bright. And it's hard to argue with that. It's not the most creative. You do a lot of accent colors, and you would never use these black handles anymore that seem to be undersized, that they bought discount from Amazon like I did at one point. But you bought the right size, handles, but it doesn't look bad at all. Now, their bathrooms, I think, are better. These are interesting. These are interesting sink vanities. I'm obviously not, I don't know how they would be custom. They had to have ordered these somewhere. But then they have the digital toilet. Maybe this is a bidet?
They have the fancy electronic toilet.
Electronic toilet, heated towel rack.
Oh, wow.
2-tone vanity. So yes, this looks like it's what's a loft. This looks like an A-loft hotel bathroom. Just kind of like the modern take of. Now, I do love this bathroom we're about to see. And I like these fans. I've been seeing these fans, these 3-blade wood fans. It looks like carved wood. Pretty cool. I saw one yesterday. It was nice. The primary bathroom, heated towel rack, and it has the wet area, which has become very popular, where they put the tub inside the shower area. They just kind of make one whole back wall a wet area, and it makes for a very dramatic look. And I do like their choice of tile, and they did the tile on the floor that went up into the curb and then into the shower. I think they did a really good job of the primary, and I like the vanities kind of have this navy texture. I don't know what this is. Those stickers. I don't even know.
I don't know.
I don't know why they left stickers on the vanity, but I think they did a really nice job. Do you like this bathroom?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they did a good job with it.
They did gold Schluter, which is just kind of neat.
Yeah.
I like that. Oh, man, look at that fancy toilet. How much is that toilet, you think?
I don't know. I mean, that looks like an all-in-one unit. I was going to say sometimes you can get a fancy, lid that does all this stuff for you, but you've got to have an outlet nearby too, because it's got to plug in. But I don't know where the tank is on that thing. Like, how's it get water?
It looks kind of like a small hole too. Looks like a porta potty.
It wouldn't work for me.
cheap concert. Yeah, this is not made for us, brother.
It's like a boat toilet.
They got this they got the junior version. They need like a pony wall or something too, man. They got this out
it's
in
just
the middle
kind
of
of
the
out there in
room.
the open. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they plan on going to the bathroom too much. They
Yeah.
didn't think through that.
But ultimately, this sold. I mean, and so
It's sold for
not that.
$600, right?
Yeah,
Backyard.
it's not that
pretty
far
decent.
off for somebody.
Yeah.
to
So what
make
would
that
you
kind of
say? So
comment.
this guy's like just beside himself. 600, ridiculous. Price crash coming. 500 to 515. And
that just sold, right? I mean, that one sold.
Yeah, this February.
That February 27th for 600.
It just sold.
Yeah.
So so what would your guess? Just if you just had to guess, what would your guess be?
What's that? What it sells for?
Yeah.
How many days on market is that? Oh, it's only
5.
22 hours.
Yeah, no, this is during his Twitter post. It was 22.
Okay.
It's 5 days now.
5 days.
It's been 5 days. Yeah. So of course it hasn't.
I mean, depending on the majors, like if the AC's been updated, if plumbing's been updated, anything like that. There's one that says PVC
replaced with a modern PVC plumbing system.
What is this? The same house?
This is the subject house. The HVAC system, ductwork, and attic insulation were also completely redone.
I'd say probably it's going to be somewhere between 575 and 600.
We will keep our eye on this.
Yeah.
And we will keep our friends up to date. All right, stop sharing. So there we have it. You know what's funny? I just noticed since we're live, I don't know how long we've been going. It doesn't. We normally keep a little
46 minutes.
Okay, we normally keep a little countdown thing here, so I know how long we've gone, so I can vamp. We normally try to go 3 hours. I'm like, I got to talk about.
We'll have to see if this experiment worked because I've got it up and running on my phone. It says we're live, but it's only showing 4 views, and I don't know if it's like, I don't know. Maybe once we close it out, maybe it'll go to my story. You would think that it would be live throughout this time, but I don't know. Sometimes
maybe there's a limit. I have no idea. You do way more live stuff than me, so we'll just have to tinker with it. But it'll be up for a little while, and we'll see, and we'll get better at it. But at least we're trying. So episode 97 in the books. If you're a new listener, if you see this on Tavis' story or as a post later, and you like what you hear and you want to, please go subscribe to Spotify, Apple, anywhere you can find your podcast. We're everywhere there. Please share this with a friend. Anyone that's in the DFW market or anyone who cares about the DFW market, wants to know about all the new things happening in the news as far as real estate goes, wants to know what the market's doing, wants to know, how to flip a house, how to value houses. We talk a lot about how to value houses. I think a lot of agents could get a lot of information on how to actually look at a house specifically in the investment realm and do comping. We talk a lot about comping and finding an accurate value and that sort of thing. And again, we'll be bringing you more interviews. If you know anyone that would be a great interview for us, so you got to talk to so-and-so, they're amazing, please reach out, text us, message Tavis, message myself, find us on Instagram, Facebook, all those things. And we would love you forever. Until next week, hope you have a great day.
Thanks, guys.